Hi everyone, it's Tanya Kraus here, and you are joining me for an episode of Let's Talk Horses. And we are still going through our viewer questions. So this one is, how much do you do to learn a skill but not do it until it's unraveling? So don't ride until it's broken. How do you know, where's the balance between doing that skill until the horse knows it, but then overdoing it till to the horse, gets to the point where it starts to undo. So I think, there's two main things here. And one is we have to know which training phase we're in relation to the skill that we're teaching. So which training phase we're in is number one question. And the second thing that we have to realize is the reason that it becomes unraveled, the reason that it becomes broken is because if we're using a training technique where we're trying to train the horse to be a thinking horse. So I always say I train my horses to be a thinking horse. So if I put a cue on my horse and the horse does the correct thing, then I release and I give the horse a rest. And that's how the horse knows that they've done the right thing, right? So negative reinforcement training. And you add a cue, you remove it when the horse does what you're asking it to do. So if I'm doing canter depart, then I'm going to be trotting along. I'm going to balance my horse up. I'm going to put my canter cue on. So I'm going to, get in the right body position. I'm going to give him a smooch. And if he does canter, then all of that's going to relax to the point where I just ride the canter. And if the canter doesn't happen and he's still relatively balanced, I'm going to do it again. And then when he does do it, I'm going to release. Okay? So through that, what we're training the horse to do is, if I put that cue on and he does something else, then I'm not going to release. So what happens is the horse begins to learn that when we're doing something, that there's a correct answer, and that when that correct answer is presented, that the cue is going to be removed. And so what can happen is once we get into a training phase of a lesson, the horse can sort of go, if we overdo it, what can happen is, let's say I'm doing the back up and I go, oh, back up, good release, 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 back up, good release. If I keep going and there's not a release, like there's not a finish point, or the horse can't see a finish point, then what's going to happen is the horse is probably going to change what he's presenting, because he's going to think, well, back up mustn't be it. Because she's doing it again, and 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 she's doing it again. So we have to figure out, well, how do we move through the training phases without causing our horse to feel like that they're wrong and that they have to change it? So the first thing we need to do is understand which training phase that we're in. So we're either in a teaching phase, so we're presenting the horse with a cue or an aid or a cue, and we won't talk about that now. We'll talk about it in a different thing. So I present the horse with a cue. He presents the correct answer, or the answer that I'm looking for, and I release. So that's a teaching phase. So my horse doesn't know what it is that I'm asking, and through doing that, the horse is learning. So I'm in a teaching phase, the horse is in a learning phase. Once the horse understands what that cue means, so, if I put my leg on and I'm looking for a hindquarter yield, I put my leg on and the horse might walk forward, and I kick the leg on and say, well, no, it's not forward. And then the horse might walk backwards, and I kick the leg on and I keep asking with rhythm, and the horse goes, oh, it mustn't be backwards because she's still got the leg on. And so then my horse takes one step of a hindquarter yield, and I release everything, stand still, yep, good job. So teaching phase, horse is in learning phase. Training phase, my horse is in a remembering phase. So there gets a point there between teaching and training that my horse feels my leg go on and my horse goes, instead of going forward, back up, oh, there's the answer, my horse goes, that means hindquarter yield. Yes, here's the answer. They know what I'm asking. And then I can go into a training phase, right? Then I can say to my horse, okay, we're going to do this exercise. We're going to do this hindquarter yield. We're going to train it so it becomes smoother, faster. There's less of a think time. You know, my leg goes on and you're stepping, you're there, you're with me. So that's the training phase. My horse knows what the cue is. I'm in a training phase, and that's where I'm going to sort of sit in repetitions, isn't it? And my horse is sitting in that remembering phase, and that's where we start to build the repetitions. In training phase, we might do something once and dismount. We might quit the session because we're like, wow, good job, you learnt that. And then the next time we do it, we might do it 2 times and then quit the session. So my teaching phase is kind of where I'm always going to do that thing maybe last in the session, because I want to give my horse that huge big release where I dismount and the session's over and my horse goes, oh wow, that, you know, I learned that. And then we move into a refinement phase. So my refinement phase is exactly what it sounds like, where I'm trying to refine or improve the quality of it. So and this is where I'm looking for rhythm, tempo, you know, accuracy. So a hindquarter yield turns into a hindquarter yield might be a hindquarter yield in the teaching phase, and then in the training phase it might swing between being a hindquarter yield and a turn on the forehand. But then in my refinement phase, it's a turn on the forehand, and it's a turn on the forehand at A, and it's a turn on the forehand that's 180 degrees, and it's a turn on the forehand that stays in rhythm. Okay, so you can see that in refinement, that's where I'm asking for the quality of the maneuver. So my question is, when I'm asking myself, am I going to do this until it's broken? My question is, where am I in the training phase? Because if I am in the teaching phase, then yeah, this is probably the main phase where I can really muck it up and I can really get it to the point where it does break, because I go leg on and the horse goes, oh, forward, backward, hindquarter yield, and I go release, yeah, rub you, that's a hindquarter yield, good job. And then, you know, it happens again. And what I would do on my very first time, at the minute I put that leg on and my horse took that step first, they didn't think about going forwards or backwards, that's where I'm going to quit the session. That's where I'm going to go, yep, that was it. And then hopefully, you know, my session is always reflected. How good my training session was yesterday is always reflected in the following time I ride. It's not necessarily how, you know, what it feels like on the day. It's what it feels like afterwards. It's how much my horse actually, and what they thought that they learnt out of it. You know, I might do that hindquarter yield. I might do that teaching phase where they go forward, backward, hindquarter, and I release and I rub him and he licks and chews, and I think I'm getting all the good stuff, and then we do it again and yep, he licks and chews, and I you know, I'm like, yeah, man, he's got this, and I dismount, and then the next day I come and put my leg on and he pushes into my leg. And I think, oh, what happened there? But like yesterday, I left him at the point where he stepped away. But maybe right when I went to dismount, my horse stepped to the right and I didn't see it. And I've been doing hindquarter yields left. And I didn't sort of feel it, or I thought he was just taking a step to balance, and I dismounted. My horse might have gone, all I had to do was step to the right, and she got off. That's what I learned. So it's not necessarily a mistake on the trainer's part, because horses are, you know, we're not in their head. We don't know which part of that session are they going, oh, I did that, and that was the release. So it doesn't matter. You just go ahead and recap it again. But what I want to do is make sure I'm moving through those phases as well, so I'm not overdoing that one step quit, one step quit, one step quit. You know, I don't want to get 3 years down the track and I'm like, oh yeah, my horse does a hindquarter yield, but he does it one step 10 times once. You know, I want him to do 10 steps in rhythm. Okay, so we have to understand that there's a difference between doing 10 steps in rhythm or doing one step 10 times. I might need to do one step 10 times for my colt start or my green horse, but then it's got to be go into that training phase where it's actually my horse just gets into rhythm with me. but it can't be leg on, forward, backward, hindquarter yield, good job. Leg on, forward, backward, hindquarter yield, good job. Leg on, forward, backward, hindquarter. Because then my horse thinks that that's the skill, right? Forward, backward, hindquarter yield. So I've got to make sure my timing is bang on there where, you know, my horse understands that was unnecessary, that was unnecessary, this is the one that I'm after. Once you feel like your horse understands, yep, that's the one you're after, that's the first thought that comes into their head, then you're in a training phase. And once you're in a training phase, then I would be looking at, in a training phase, my expectation is, can I repeat it 3-4 times on both sides? You know, can I say to my horse, oh, okay, I'm going to walk down here, turn on the forehand, walk over there, turn on the forehand, left, walk over there, turn on the forehand, left. Okay, he's got it. You know, 3 times I've walked him out of it. I've stopped him. I've presented him with the cue. He's done the turn on the forehand. I'm in a training phase. Okay, it's there. It's getting reliable. It's getting somewhere where I can actually feel like, yep, if a stranger got on that horse, he'd be able to put his leg there and ask for a turn on the forehand. That's my training phase. Once my training phase gets to the point where it can be rhythmical and adjustable, that's when I'm in refinement stage. That's when I'm actually putting that skill in the bank and I'm like, yeah, my horse does a turn on the forehand, okay, anywhere, anytime. I can trot from here to A to B and do a turn on the forehand. I can canter from A to B and do a turn on the forehand. No other information coming into that horse's head interrupts his ability to do that turn on the forehand. And I think that's the crux of us understanding where we are, because sometimes we might be in a, we think it's reliable, but it's only reliable at the walk, stop, turn on the forehand. You know, is it reliable? If I put my horse into a lope and then stop and do a turn on the forehand, is he still reeling from the lope? Is his heart rate being up and his respiratory rate being up? Is that interfering with his ability to go, oh, geez, you want to turn on the forehand? You know, because then if he starts going forward, backward, then I've got to go, oh, okay, this isn't reliable. I need to go back and teach it at the walk, the jog, and the lope in order for it to be in reliability phase and be in training phase. And once I can start playing with my training phase, again, it's got to have adjustability. Can I adjust the length? Can I adjust the speed? Is it accurate? Can I do a 180-degree turn? Can I do a 360-degree turn? Can I do a quarter? You know, can I do a 90-degree turn? That is when I'm in refinement. That's when it's reliable. My horse knows 100% of the time what a turn on the forehand is, and they will actually patiently wait for me to ride the rhythm and present to them, you know, how fast we're going to do it, how long we're going to do it, and for how far we're going to do it. So I hope that helps. Nice, quick, let's talk horses here. But they're the training phases, and I use those training phases for every single element that I'm training my horse for. Thanks so much for watching.